the Eradicator.
Alright guys, this is it. Inside Star Citizen is back once again. We are going to react to it, and it seems like we are having some discussion here about Pyro once again. It's all about Pyro now, basically, until the launch of Alpha 4.0. And this time it's about, I suppose, combat in Pyro between factions. So let's go, let's check it out.
Of
Murderous.
it's not. It's like it's not like, you don't want to say immersive, but it's visceral is probably a bit too much of
Visceral.
a big word. It's like, I'm thinking engaging, I
Wow,
suppose.
tell us what you really think of the
I
backers.
suppose engaging is the word, right? Like, you're gonna get a much more like engaging.
Nice. I mean,
They
Stanton
think
can
you
be
really
quite
want visceral
engaging.
people.
Well, it's a lot of syllables for a bloke from Coventry. We have a 2-syllable cat where I'm from.
Alright, let's get started. Oh, there we go. This looks like the location we saw in the demo from Star Engine during SeasonCon last year, where they were showcasing the Maelstrom technology. Pyro 3. Oh no, what a takedown here. And there's Pyro 2 now.
As the Pyrostar system is lawless, this means that combat can break out anywhere.
Yes,
Social spaces
that's
can
what
turn
we
into
want.
combat spaces in the blink of an eye.
See, it's
The
all
main
peaceful
experience we're
now.
trying to build is something that feels a bit more like wild and not the typical thing that you've seen in Stanton. So the themes are a bit more chaotic than you'd expect.
Yes, that's what we want, you know, figure it out. Maybe peaceful, keep it peaceful, right? But if some rogue elements are coming out, figure it out to see who is going to prevail and who is going to come on top. It's probably going to be the numbers game.
So for example, if you're shopping and then someone decides to take a firefight with you because they think your armor's cool and they want it, you can jump over that kiosk, sit behind that cover and return fire.
But the thing is, it was more practical before when we had local inventory and all you had to do is just magically drag all those items in the local inventory. Now it's not the case anymore. Now you're gonna have to carry items with you, and you know, maybe someone will come back. Maybe they have an Ursa rover medivac somewhere and they're going to come back and shoot you down to get revenge. Who knows, right? So it's not going to be as easy as it used to be before. Let's keep that in mind.
So you're basically turning this shopping mall, which you were at previously, into a combat zone.
These spaces were built
Look at that
modularly
star
with
cloth.
various different overlays that had to stitch together, but also make sure that it accounted for a fair combat fight and easy navigation for both vehicles and any other light elements that you want to be able to bring to these places.
Yeah, it's not easy to figure out who is who, right, also, and that's because it's so dark and you can easily camouflage as well. I think that's going to be super important to know how to blend in the environment to avoid getting seen.
As for the trade posts, because of their ever-shifting inventory of things they could sell, could buy, things being on display, this changes the layout of the trade post itself.
Taking everyday objects in the trading post, like weapon terminals, something that you would purchase, would then, as soon as a fight is initiated, that becomes cover.
Use the ship, use the shop terminal as cover. That's funny.
Get shot by the enemy, essentially.
So you could be ducking behind cover behind a ship component that you want to purchase for your ship later, but first you've got to take care of this rival gang attacking you.
Yeah, but then the ship component might be destroyed in the process, right? That's one hell of an expensive cover area.
Then afterwards you can decide, hey, I need to grab a multi-tool for this other salvage mission I need to go to. So after the firefight is finished, you go to the counter, pick up your multi-tool with a salvage component, pay for it, chip's done.
And what if the bartender, what if the shopkeeper is dead? You know, do we just grab it for free?
And off you head out.
Oh, nice! Look at that Giacomo helmet. We give those helmets every year during SeasonCon.
Taking what we've learned and these setups from Squadron 42 to Pyro, for example, NPCs having specific archetypes and having more specific classes, using things like defend areas and keeping NPCs in specific areas, Pyro, we're taking that to the next level, where
Nice.
we're having more specific areas used for defenses and things like that, and making areas stay in NPCs. We're also using something called schedule areas, which basically enforces NPCs to stay within a certain vicinity in combat.
Oh, don't tell me NPCs are going to finally be able to use those turrets These are players. They must have made this up, right, for the purpose of this video. I can't believe NPCs are finally using these turrets.
For 4.0 with server meshing, we expect higher server frame rates. So the idea is that you'll get a much more engaging AI experience.
That's the point, right? This has been the main flaw with AI in Star Citizen, low frame rates, because the servers just can't handle the game environment. But with server meshing, it's going to be completely different, because one server is going to be able to handle just one small area within the game, sometimes just one facility, one moon, one planet, whatever it's going to be. And because of that, as a result, the frame rate is going to be much higher. Finally, the NPCs are going to be able to do what they're supposed to do.
Let's talk about some of those classes. We have what we call our techie, which typically features light armor and SMGs, and they have more aggressive traits. So they're
But we already have those. When you go to a bunker, you would see those NPCs. They're already
focused
there.
on getting close to you and flushing you out. Similar with our CQC class, which typically has shotguns, and obviously they have the much higher aggression version.
I mean, it's already there. All of
So
these
seeing us talk
NPCs,
about
they're already
traits
here.
at CitizenCon, and this is putting that work in the persistent universe and allowing us to create more dynamic situations.
That's
We're
not
doing other
new.
things as well. For example, we're making NPCs hold up in rooms with shotguns and things
Now
like that.
that is
so
new.
when you have to eliminate a specific target and you're going into a room, those guys are specifically holding up there, and you're kind of having a tug of war of them in close quarters environments versus them just kind of walking around the area.
Nice. Now that oh my goodness. Did you see that here? Red Citadel armor? Ho ho ho. It should be teal. CIG, please make it teal for Irad. But I like that though.
With our Juggernaut enemy, you'll have seen that that's incredibly highly
Oh,
health
they call that the Juggernaut enemy. That's a cool name.
LMG enemy, which ignores all shooting restrictions, can focus on pushing the player and shooting them out, and basically being that slow-moving target that walks towards you.
All heavy
Similar,
armor.
including things like Copions into battle.
No. Ah, you're trying to avoid them in the sentence system. They'll be back in Pyro.
One of the factions has pet Copions, and Copions fight alongside them. And that
They
is
have
fantastic
pet
because it gives
Copions.
you a different silhouette when you're fighting these factions. You know, you have to shoot a lot lower, you have to be a lot more conscious because they're a lot quicker than a human
And they're
being.
dangerous,
Just
right?
these nice little new additions to combat.
Just use a shotgun for these guys. You know, Copians just blow their heads with a shotgun.
We're integrating more things in terms of having people who are more aggressive, having different factions, having different accuracy profiles, and making the factions in Pyro feeling a bit more versatile and different to when you fight each other. These encounters are a lot more crafted and bespoke.
Yeah, compared to the old-fashioned encounters we've had in Stanton, right? Okay, all right. Oh, that is a cool armor here.
Pyro is a system of conflict, and in there there's many factions vying over control. When you arrive at Pyro, one of the first things you want to do is enlist one of the two primary factions.
Okay, so the
have
headhunters.
more tiered structured armor, which you can acquire.
Nice,
The
nice,
more higher
nice.
tiered the armor is, the more tanky and resistant those enemies are.
Obviously, right? Man, you go. Can you imagine? You go get all those armor, and you go back to Stanton after. you go to the regular civilian areas, do some trade with with those outfits. You would totally not look suspicious with that.
As a headhunter, you might be hovering around the Sunset Mesa, trying to think of how you're going to get close by. You would land your ships under the cover of darkness. You're taking your ground vehicle to the outpost. You're then getting out, trying to sneak past the outer perimeter, and eventually navigating your way down to either the gas tanks or to the main landing pit itself, and finding the exact critical point that would break the entire operation at the scrapyard.
It's exactly what we're doing in Star Wars Outlaws.
Citizens of Prosperity have much higher and deadly accuracy.
Oh, I like they have the hood here. This looks pretty cool. So they're good at accuracy.
They also have more civil weaponry versus criminal weaponry as well. So you'll see things more like bearings and so on and so forth.
Nice,
Versus
okay.
other more lawless factions, which typically have things like Castak arms.
Oh,
If you're aligned with the Citizens for Prosperity, you might be given a mission to go to Rustville and actually head down.
wait. Is this place actually called Rustville? That's a funny name.
to the canyons and try to steal some of their scrap from
Oh,
their
that's
derelict
Pyro
ships
1,
in
right.
the base of the canyons. Because of Pyro 1's unique terrain where Rustville is located, you will need to get into your ground vehicle again, navigate through all the twisting canyons and ravines, and use your multi-tool to steal as much scrap as possible to end up sabotaging the unlimited supply of scrap that the headhunters at Rustville have got.
Yeah, plus given the heat on Pyro 1, yeah, you definitely want to be in a ground vehicle to be able to sustain that heat and you won't really expose. Otherwise, even if you have the toughest armors, you're still going to get your thirst gauge go super high, your temperature gauge is going to go very high as well.
So regardless if you side with Headhunters or Citizens of Prosperity, you will both be able to fight the Xenothreat.
Ah, there
These
they are.
hate everybody. They are operating out
They hate
of
everybody.
Pyro 2, 3, and Pyro 6.
The Xenothreat is more what you'd think of as a PMC in terms of how you fight them and how they behave. They're a lot more cautious, they're a lot more careful, they won't try rush you out of cover, they play a lot more defensively. And
So they're basically the boss of the Pyro system.
you
That's
can
what
use
they
our
mean.
trait system to inform how they make combat decisions. So where you'd expect someone like the Headhunters to be a bit more, run at you, push you out, the Xenothreat characters will be a lot more cautious and stationary and prefer to stay in cover and take long
There you go, there's Jared right there. No, the Headhunters, they are professionals.
shots. And they'll have a much higher accuracy profile, but they'll shoot for much shorter durations, so they conserve their ammo a lot more.
A place we're
Oh,
going to
that's
fight
beautiful.
Xenothreat is at the Last Ditch settlement on Pyro 2.
Yeah, I've been
Ditch
there.
Is another large, lawless settlement.
We have a town close by it and then different mining operations between the village and the mining tower.
And it's kind of a callback to the history of the system where there was once these mega corporations in
Right, so
Pyro
these are basically remains of old towns that the pirates have taken
that
over.
would do these large-scale mining operations.
It's a vital part in the Pyro ecosystem for these outlaw gangs to control. So we can also see here that there is fortifications, but they're mainly around the village from which these gangs operate.
But interestingly, it's almost built on 3 levels. There's like a main habitation area on top of this bluff, and then just down from that is the refinery area.
Oh,
And then right at the base of the super large mega mining structure is a small sort of extraction area in an
so is it still working, eh? Because they call it an extraction area. I wonder if it's still working, if they can still get resources out of that.
old kind of quarry. Should make for some very interesting fights, especially as you move between those sort of 3 sub-locations within the larger location.
I hope that the player
Probably
will
need
get
a
a
ground
sense
vehicle
of,
for that.
of trying to stop Xenothreat with their evil deeds.
Oh, there's Pyro 3.
Shadowfall is another Xenothreat outpost. It's quite a large Xenothreat outpost that lives in the shadow of this mountain on Pyro 3 and
Nice.
kind of just sits on the shore of this lake.
Oh, it's actually quite beautiful, right? With the lake there, it's very scenic.
This location hits different. It's a location just like the outlaw locations, but we can feel that things have been turned up further. It is not only is it chaos, but it is now a structured chaos.
There's
Structured
fire and
chaos.
there's these
Okay, we
spiked
see that
barricades
before.
that make up the place around it.
Within the homestead location, we have a lot of elevated positions that the player will look to. Will
Oh, yeah, there it goes. Sniping locations, right? We've seen that a little bit already at the Derrick settlements in the center system, but I believe that it's going to play a much bigger role in Pyro.
see that there is a lot of scaffolding build up, and it feels like a fortified position.
So in 3.23, we added sniper NPCs to the distribution centers.
Yes, 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 and we are going to go see some sniper NPCs at the end of this live stream, by the way. So stay tuned, guys, because we're going to have some gameplay at the end of the segment, and there will be
In
snipers.
4.0, we're going further on that and adding specific watch nests and things like that to keep these snipers in. So you'll have to be careful and keep an eye on for these outposts and these high elevation where snipers could essentially hit you from. How we're validating combat is ensuring that the players can have a lot more stealthy approach, have a lot more overview of what their targets are doing and where they're going.
So you could
Right, so you come here, you land far away with a ground vehicle, you come with a ground vehicle, leave your ground vehicle also a little bit far away, and then you go, right? Better be a nurse. If you come with a nurse, you can respawn.
use elevation to plan things out, such things as a comms tower, such things as cliff edges. You can basically survey over the trade post or the outpost itself. you could look at key things. Does it have automated weapon systems there? Does it have primary, secondary, and tertiary pathing to allow the player in?
It's all about defensive structures, about obstructing the player in order to get to its objective, with a lot of anti-air.
Right, so they say it on purpose, right? It's about obstructing the players. You're gonna have to go through those traversal areas.
Turrets.
Oh, that's an anti-missile turret. Oh, we've seen that in CitizenCon 2021.
It was around the location.
You are going to need to use your aerial support to take out these defensive measures so that you can even get people close to the location. Eventually, you can pull in your ground vehicles, drop off an elite squad.
Now, we don't often see the this ground vehicle for dropping off, right? The troop
You can
transport
stealth
vehicle.
through the scrapyard, you can stealth via the nearby lake, come through the derelict outpost section, finally clearing out Xenothreat once and for all.
Well, until they come back.
From another outpost.
Yeah, right, because that's how it's what's happening, where these missions, they always come back, and then magically the Xenothreats come back, right? That's why you have to, when you want to grind, and that's what I've seen doing that myself, you know, in the sentence system, especially with Hurston Dynamics. You know, you grind your reputation, you do the same missions again and again and again. It's like I calculated to get to level 4, in Mercenary level 4 for Hurston Dynamics, I have to do the same missions like 100 times. It's crazy.
Definitely a place that will just feel very hostile to the player. And you feel like this is a location that has a purpose within the universe and that it's important for these outlaw gangs to protect what they have going right here.
In 4.0, you can expect a lot more crafted, engaging combat experiences.
I mean, they've had plenty, let's be real, guys. They've had plenty of times to craft those combat engagements.
With new archetypes, enemies using new weapons, fighting animals alongside humans, and all sorts of absolute crazy that you expect from Pyro.
Eradicate.
Guys, I am the original Eradicator. That's my phrase. They have been eradicated. And what is that? Oh my gosh.
Alright.
Alright, Bosch.
Oh, there's the Vulture. Yeah, when the fight is over, you come in
Well,
with the
what more can I
Vulture.
add? We always knew there'd be a lot of combat in Pyro, but with the addition of more AI archetypes from Squadron and the anticipated performance improvements generated by server meshing, we're hoping to deliver an experience that's more dangerous, engaging, and heck, I'm not from Coventry, so I can say it, visceral for our players.
Visceral.
For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee.
Oh, he's not saying when, of course. What about the PTU, right? Anyway, that is all for this video, guys. Looking forward for 4.0 as always. Stay tuned to the channel. We'll keep you updated as soon as there are some news about the next major patch for Star Citizen. I've been Erad. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.